Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Justin Feldman from Feldman Physical Therapy and Performance. And today we're gonna talk about 5 things that we wanna make sure all runners know. So as a lot of you know, we get to work with a lot of runners here in the clinic, both from a performance standpoint and recovering from injury. And there are some common things that come up as we talk to people and that always surprise us that are new to people, things they don't really know. Some of it is just stuff we take for granted. And so we picked our top 5 most common. We're gonna talk about them today. So number 1, first thing is that we want you to be running in multiple pairs of shoes. So they did a study years ago over a course of about 22 weeks, and they found that individuals that ran in multiple pairs of shoes had about a 39% decrease in reported injuries from people who ran in just a single pair of shoes. So why is that? We take a look here. We got 3 different shoes. We got Saucony Endorphin Pro. We've got the Asics Nosa Tri, which if we're gonna go by color and design pattern is clearly the coolest one here. And then we've got the Nike Pegasus here. And so if we look through these shoes, you could just see a difference, right? In the way all these shoes are made and the way that they're going to load your foot. And so what happens is by not having them be the same over time, that puts less stress on your foot in the exact same way. So you think about running being a very repetitive sport. Well, if we could do anything to lessen the repetitive nature of that, then we're gonna expect to decrease our risk for injury. So that's number 1. Try and run in multiple pairs of shoes. Before we get on to number 2, if you are finding this helpful, useful, any of those things, please, really appreciate it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure to share it with friends. Now, number 2, right, we're gonna talk here is train based on time, not based on distance. And so commonly, right, people jump into running and they start off training by distance. And the main reason they do that is because that's what the races are, right? And so most races are 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon, 1 mile, right? The races are all done by distance. So logically, you'd think you should train by distance. Well, not so much. We want you to train by time. And the reason is that when we train, we're really trying to train you to be more efficient, and we're trying to train you to use specific energy systems and to get more efficient using those energy systems. And the problem is there's something about training by distance. If I tell you to go out and run 4 miles, something internally tries to get you to run those 4 miles as fast as possible. And we don't want you to be doing that. We want you to be hitting a specific pace as you're going. And something in your brain, the way your head works, right? Running for 40 minutes, you might end up doing, more, than 4 miles distance wise. But if we say, all right, we want you to go out there, we're going to run for 40 minutes, it's easier for you to control your pace. And likewise, a lot of times we'll tell people to train in different heart rate zones instead, just to try to get people out of the habit of feeling like they need to be running fast all the time. Okay, so number 3, third thing we want people to know is that there happens to be a magic number when it comes to how many days a week you should run. And that number is 4. So number 3 is that you should be running 4 days a week as your goal. So a lot of times people will look through different training plans and pick different plans based on their schedule, how often they can run, what they can do. Well, if we are looking to help you avoid injury, stay healthy, and improve your performance, there's been a bunch of research, and the magic number is we want you to try and run 4 days a week. Now, speaking of 4, we're on to number 4 right now. So what is number 4? Number 4 is don't run at your race pace during your training. And so this goes back and jumps in with number 2 there, right? About train over time, not distance. Well, when you're training, we want you to run at various different paces. And in reality, we want almost 80% of your training to be significantly slower than your race pace. And then we want a bunch of your training, whatever's left in that 20%, to actually be slightly faster than your race pace so that you're challenging your body to push. But where a lot of people go wrong is they say, hey, my goal is to run a half marathon at 9:30 pace. And so why would I not try to get good at running a 9:30 pace and just go out and run a 9:30 pace all the time? Well, the reason is that's how people get hurt. Again, that makes the nature of running even more repetitive. And we get back to that idea, we're trying to train those energy systems, okay? And so we're trying to get you more efficient. And in order to do that, you actually need to be running slower. And so when we look at this, number 4, right? Don't run all your miles at race pace. In fact, run very few of them at race pace. We want you running almost 80% of your training at slower than race pace. Number 5, last one here on these 5 tips is a big one for us here. Feels like something we say all the time. Strength training is key. Runners, endurance athletes, they do not strength train enough for the most part. I'm sure there's some exceptions out there, but we need to get you guys training your muscles to absorb load, adapt to the situations around them, and be able to produce force. And using strength training, specifically loaded, we want you guys lifting, moving weights is what we need to do. And so for most of our athletes, we look for them to be doing 2 days a week of strength training throughout a training plan. So depending on what you're doing, training for a marathon, half marathon, try to dedicate 2 days a week to strength training. Those are our 5 things that we find that we are constantly telling marathon runners, 5K runners, half marathon runners, all alike. These are the things we repeat the most in the clinic. And so we want to make sure we get this out there so everybody knows it. So recap real quick, right? Number 1, multiple pairs of shoes. Number 2, train by time, don't train by distance. Number 3, we want you running 4 days a week. Okay, that's the magic number. Number 4, try not to train at race pace all the time. Number 5, don't skip your strength training. So that's what we got for you here today. Really appreciate everybody watching. Appreciate all the likes, comments. If you have any tips for everybody else that you think you want to make sure a bunch of other runners know, go ahead, drop those down in the comments below. We'll see you back here in the next video.